Hey, yo, Josh, let me get a little bit of reverb. Yeah. J. Will. Yeah, I'm about that lifestyle. I talk green work, repping it all over. It's right on the t-shirt. Fan for a lifetime. Yeah, that's a long pass. Figure I would show some love right on the podcast. Turn this up loud and make sure you don't do nothing else. Cause if you're listening to us, then you're improving your health. My name is J. Will. Welcome to the show, yeah. Wrestle, flow, 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 yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to a very special edition of Wrestling Reverb. It's all things Mania. We just watched a wild Wrestlemania. I am your host Josh. Kevin is here as well. How you doing, Kevin?
Well, it's 12:42 in the morning. I just watched 7 hours of wrestling. I'm about as good as I could be right now.
It was a quite the show, and Kevin, we Mania is too big for just us two to tackle this alone. We do have some guests.
Absolutely
Kevin,
not.
who do we have here today?
We've got a couple of our brainbuster brethren. First up, we've got the lovely JPQ.
Hey
How you
now.
doing?
What's going on, fellas?
Doing well. Doing well.
Who else we got here, Josh?
Oh, we've got the one and only Mags from Badlands Pod, from Why We Watch Pod, from every podcast that you can think of. Mags is on it. How you doing, Mags?
I will top trump your time. It is now 5:45 in the morning over here, and I'll top trump it even more.
bad.
I've been up since 5 o'clock yesterday morning.
Holy shit.
All right, I'll stop complaining because that's pretty good.
It's 2:30, nearly 2:30 in the afternoon here, so I can't complain.
That's you disgust me. You disgust me if that's
I've been
the
up
time.
since early, but hey, it's fine. I am not going to complain about my
It's
time.
lunchtime.
Yeah, literally.
WrestleMania lunchtime.
I had breakfast and watched WrestleMania today, so can't complain too much. But as you all know, WrestleMania just finished about 15, 20 minutes ago. It was a hell of a show. There's a lot to break down here. We're not going to waste any of you guys' time. We're going to dive right into things here on WrestleMania. It's kind of thing around here. Kevin kind of takes the reins with breaking down the match as well as he can. Let's start with the kickoff show and the Cruiserweight Championship match. Kevin, we'll take things over to you.
Oh boy, okay. The cruiserweights kicked things off. You had Buddy Murphy defending his Cruiserweight Championship against the premier athlete, Tony Nese. It feels so long ago that I almost don't remember what happened. I know we have a new Cruiserweight champion.
We do.
That's pretty cool. I just I barely remember the match. I mean, and it was a fine match. It wasn't anything crazy. It wasn't anything like too out there. I've seen better from Buddy Murphy, frankly. But It was a good enough match for what it was.
It was on in the first half an hour of the show, so, of the kickoff show, there's a lot of matches to break down on that alone, but it was in the first half an hour. JPQ, I'll start with you. How did you feel about anything that you really remember from this match? Because, like Kevin said, it was quite a time ago now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be working on nine and a half hours since it ended. I'll tell you that the takeaway is that Buddy Murphy is good.
Yeah.
He is just really, really good. Didn't get the W, which surprised me a little bit. But that man is a good worker, and he's going to do great on the main roster here soon enough.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Mags, do you remember anything too crazy from this match other than we got a new Cruiserweight champion?
No, I think Kevin pretty much hit the nail on the head. It wasn't the classic Buddy Murphy kind of match that we've come to love, but I think this was his almost swan song on 205 because I think that guy's destined for Maine now.
Yeah, I think he's going to be on to bigger things, I think is what everyone's kind of thinking. I was not completely surprised that he lost the title, to be honest with you. Also, side note, if I sound a little bit husky right now, I've been yelling and screaming at the TV for 8 hours, so apologies to anyone if I sound a little bit like Michael Cole right now, because I'm losing my voice. But, nonetheless, yeah, I wasn't too shocked that Tony Nese got the win here. Like Kevin said, it was early in the show. It feels like a lifetime ago now. I can't really think of anything too crazy about this show. I'll probably watch WrestleMania again at some point within the next couple of days, but I don't really remember anything too crazy. But Tony Nese is the champion. Just quickly, I'll run along everybody. Mags, what do you think is kind of the first person that Tony Nese is going to kind of challenge here? Because, I mean, outside of Buddy Murphy, there is talent in 205 Live, but not a lot of depth.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things that I've been preaching for a while is that 205 needs 3 to 5 big stars on it to really elevate the program. But going off the roster that's there now, I wanted Drew Gulak to actually get the shot against Buddy Murphy for this Mania, so I wouldn't be too displeased if Drew Gulak was the next person to go up against Tony Nese.
Yeah, Drew's fantastic, and it's not that I don't believe that Tony Nese is good. I do think Tony's good. I just think Buddy is a really extraordinary talent, and he elevated the performances no matter who he was in the ring with. But JPQ, what's your kind of take? Because where does Tony go from here?
Well, I mean, I'd like to see him and Akira Tozawa go after each other for a little while. I think that would be a nice little program to kind of warm him up.
Yeah.
Kushida is probably 205 bound eventually. I mean, he's going to start in NXT for sure. But I think that, the 205 guys, they hold the title for a little while. We might see that 4 or 5 months down the line. I think that's the program that they should be building towards.
That is true. The Cruiserweight Championship reigns are always not like extremely long, but they have a lot of depth to them. There is some substance in their reigns. Kevin, if you could kind of add on to that at all, where do you think Tony Nese goes after this win?
I agree with Mags. I think that we're going to see Tony Nese and Drew Gulak square off at some point in the near future. I love Gulak. I love Tony Nese. I mean, I'm not mad that Tony Nese won at all. I don't want to sound like I don't want to sound like I'm selling the guy short because he's one of my favorites on 205 Live. He has been for a while. It's just I have a feeling that his reign might not be as long. I think it might be more of a transitional reign, and I think Drew Gulak should be Cruiserweight champion at some point.
Yeah, I see a lot of that online. I see a lot of that Drew Gulak love. But yeah, it's still not a bad match, just nothing I can really pinpoint to remember. Next we had the Women's WrestleMania Battle Royal, and listen, it's a Battle Royal, there's not really much to talk about, but hey, I was surprised that Carmella got a win here. I think not a lot of people really picked Carmella to win. Mags, were you shocked to see Carmella get a victory here?
I was quite shocked, but not really disappointed. When Carmella really started hitting it big, she annoyed the bejesus out of me. But since she's turned face with I've really grown to like her, and I like her moveset as well. I especially like the Code of Silence. I think that's a really good move. But yeah, I wasn't surprised that she. I was surprised she won, but I wasn't disappointed.
Yeah, no, I wasn't disappointed. Here's a question for JPQ, because I know you love the women's division, you love women's wrestling like I do. It was nice to see a surprise kind of runner-up in Sarah Logan, who doesn't really get a lot of opportunities to show what she can do, because I actually think Sarah is a pretty damn good talent. It was nice to see someone else in the mix down to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I thought they had an opportunity here to really begin to kind of flesh out that mid-card, which you and I talked about a couple different times. So it was nice to see Sarah Logan in that position. She's got the power. She, in a battle royal, it suits her very well to do well. So I'm glad that they told that story. I like Carmella. I'm a Mella mark. Mella is money. So her winning on a personal level, I'm cool with. But I just think that women's title, former women's champ, she had a nice little run in 2018. it's time to start kind of building up some of these other people. This would have been a good spot for Sonya. This would have been a good spot for Mandy. Even Naomi getting back into the mix would have been something interesting that I could have hung my hat on. Wasn't disappointed in it, but I thought they could have done a little better.
It's a battle royal. It's very, I don't know. Sometimes you can't get a lot of substance out of that other than the result. The result is really what we're waiting for in a battle royal. Kevin, Carmella winning. I know that you picked you picked Sonya Deville to win this one, but I think Asuka was everyone's front runner. I think in the back of everyone's mind, given what had happened to Asuka, I think Asuka was the one that everyone was kind of going with. Were you surprised to see? I think that in my mind, the reason that Asuka wasn't the runner-up is to maybe not get heat on Carmella. But were you surprised to see Asuka not maybe pull this out, or at least be down to the final two?
I'm actually kind of glad that Asuka didn't win this or even get to the final two, because I feel like that would have come off as sort of a consolation, sort of a makeup for removing her from the SmackDown Women's title picture. So I'm not mad about it. I think it was pretty smart on them. They're gonna have to start over with her pretty much, I think. So I thought it would have been cool if Sarah Logan won. Honestly, when it looked like she won, I was pretty excited about that because I think Sarah Logan has a very bright future. But I'm cool with Carmella winning too. I mean, she deserves it. They all really deserve it.
Yeah, it's not a fact of no one deserves this. I was actually the same as you, Kev. I was actually kind of stoked that maybe Sarah Logan had got this. But yeah, it doesn't really... These Battle Royals don't really mean a hell of a lot in the long term, or really even in the short term, other than they say they've won the Battle Royal. So it doesn't really mean a lot. It is just a reason to get everybody on the card, which is fine. I mean, I've had my thoughts about it, but it is what it is. Moving on, it seemed like we're going to say this a lot during this WrestleMania, but this was a very feel-good WrestleMania. It had a lot of feel-good moments, and one of those, well, the first one of many, was Hawkins and Ryder winning the Raw Tag Team Championships from the Revival. Hawkins ending that 269 match losing streak, or whatever it was. I wasn't necessarily surprised, but even when the 3 count happened, I was kind of like, whoa, this actually did happen. JPQ, starting with you, were you shocked, or were you just genuinely like, this is fine, I'm happy with this moment?
I don't know if I'd say I was happy with it. I'm a Revival guy, so for them to lose and I like Ryder, so it really, it's a push for me with regards to winning and losing. But on the pre-show, tag team wrestling, championship on the line, and you got the Revival, who's the best tag team that they have, losing to Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. It's just kind of like, made me frustrated. Not a big fan of it overall. Don't know where the Revival is going from here. Don't know if they're staying or if they're going. So for me, it really comes down to, why make the switch when you had all these other? You're building the talent in the division. Why put it on these two moving into the new year? Didn't make much sense to me. Wasn't thrilled with the result.
That's fair. I knew some people were going to be not completely happy with Revival losing, because Revival are loved, especially on the internet. They're very loved. Mags, what did you think about this one? Because obviously it's going to get mixed opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as big a fan of the Revival as JPQ. I'm not a Revival hater by any stretch of the imagination, but I had 2 really big thoughts coming up with the end of this match. One was Dash basically holding up the honour of a legend in Bret Hart, and for that he gets to lose his titles. And then secondly, we're going to see the B Team 2.0, aren't we, with the Edgeheads?
I mean, it's definitely possible. Kevin, what's your kind of take on this? Because I know you could swing either way on this one.
I just wish that I wish this felt more important. They didn't they waited till like 2 days ago or something like that to announce that this match was even official. I don't mind the result because I like the Edgeheads. I like the Revival too. I just don't know what the plan is with them. I like the Edgeheads, and I like that they won, but I wish there was some sort of like meaning behind it rather than like just a cobbled together throwaway match that they made up at the very last second to get the titles on the card. I wish there was some story behind it.
Hey, I agree with that. I do definitely agree with that. There should have been more of a build for this match to make this moment feel like they intended to. I personally liked the moment. I kind of set the tone of where they were going with WrestleMania in my eyes. So I didn't mind it. I'm a big Revival fan as well. So we'll see where it goes from here. I don't even want to care to venture where it's going to go because it's just going to be everywhere. But nonetheless, it was quite a nice moment for a lot of people in attendance, or at least, hey, it shocked a few people. Next, we had the final match on the kickoff, and that, of course, was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And hey, again, a Battle Royal gets everyone on the show. It was really about the Weekend Update guys and Braun. That was really the story we had going here. We had Colin and Michael go under the ring, hide away, and Kevin, what was this finish like? What did happen in this finish?
So, yeah, you had Jost and Shay hiding under the ring the entire time. It got down to Braun Strowman, and I don't even remember who he was honestly squaring off with. I don't know. Yes, that's correct. He was squaring off with Matt and Jeff. And so Matt and Jeff were attempting to pull Strowman over the ropes, and Jay and Jost. I am so tired. They emerged. They tried to get Strowman over the ropes, but they couldn't. Strowman eliminated the Hardys and dealt a little bit of punishment out to Che and Jost before eliminating them, winning the Battle Royal. I mean, we both called it, Josh. Yeah. I just didn't care. Like the whole match was set up for three men, for Colin Jost, Michael Che, and Braun Strowman. Everyone else felt like an afterthought. JPQ, what did you think about this, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal?
Well, I think to Josh's point earlier about the women's Battle Royal, this would have been a good opportunity to get Shay over, which I know sounds weird but it's WrestleMania, so there's a celebrity moment. You know, you got Braun, you got this little story that's building. You've invested the time and money into bringing these two in. I thought it would have been nice if the Jost thing would have happened, the spot there, and then Shay would have been able to get him over, but instead they just kind of punched him out of the ring, and it's like, why even bother having Shay a part of it from the beginning? He hasn't really done much. So in that regard, it was a little disappointing, but they were there to tell a story. They told it well, and they got out of there. So
yeah, Mags, if you could add anything to that, what would you think about this one? Because, I mean, again, it's a battle royal. Ain't a lot of substance.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed was how crowded the ring was at the beginning.
Yeah,
it was overly crowded even for a battle royal. But going along with the SNL guys, they didn't resonate with me because we in Britain don't get SNL. So
same here.
We don't know who they are. This is very much an American thing, so obviously it appeals to an American audience. But to us, it's literally just two idiots in the ring with Braun Strowman. And if they would have pulled out the victory, it would have meant absolutely nothing here because we don't know who they are. I felt that the end was massively, massively overbooked with the therapist part. It was a nothing match made even more nothing by a silly overbooked ending.
Hey, I'm the same as you, Max, because if we do get Saturday Night Live here, it's not a big deal. I didn't know who these guys were before I seen them on Raw like a month ago or whenever it was. But hey, like I said, if they're gonna do a battle royal, I mean, props to them trying to make us give a damn. But like I said, it's just a battle royal to get everyone booked, get everyone on the show, which is fine. Braun got the win. Not really much else to talk about other than let's head into the main show.
Actually, Josh, I'm gonna cut you off there for a sec.
Oh, Okay.
I want to just ask a question of you guys, and I'll start with you, Josh. Do you think the right person won the Battle Royal? Because Strowman's been established. He's been treading water recently, but he's a guy that's gotten himself over before. And meanwhile, you have guys like Andrade, like Mustafa Ali, EC3, guys like that who in my opinion, need more of a bump. So do you think the right person actually won this match?
I mean, I guess you could look at it two ways. Yes, because that was the story that they were portraying, and that was where the kind of depth of that Battle Royal was. And then you look at it in another way of, okay, someone could have needed that. But at the same time saying that, and JPQ, Mags, you can chime in on this as well, but is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner almost to a certain degree, I wouldn't say doomed, but do they almost have to carry that weight on their shoulder of like, oh, I won that and it's not for anything. It really, at the end of the day, means nothing. I mean, Baron Corbin won it, Matt Hardy's won it, Cesaro's won it, okay, but what does it really do? It's almost a burden in some ways that you're winning this because it really doesn't matter. So it really doesn't help anyone at the end of the day, so why not give it to someone like Braun? But, Mags, what do you think about that? Because, I mean, I could just be talking out of my ass here.
Yeah, I can totally see Kevin's point of it elevating another wrestler, albeit in a very small way. But I think if Braun didn't win it, it weakens Braun even more than he already is. Because if he would have had to have been eliminated, I think WWE really dropped the ball with Braun, and him not winning this Battle Royal would have just knocked him further down that pecking order.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. JPQ, what's your deal with that? Because, I mean, Braun's come down a long way in the last year of where he was, or a couple of years, but, I mean, what's your kind of take on that? Should Braun have won? Should someone else maybe have won this?
Yeah, no, I'm on the complete other side of it. I think this was a great showing for Braun. And I think this is the build of making the Andre the Giant Memorial something worth a damn. Corbin tried to do it when he won the U.S. title after, and he kind of carried it around. I don't think we'll see much of the trophy in the future, but what we did see was we saw a little different look from Braun coming to the ring with no singlet shirt combo, whatever that was on, coming bare-chested, a little bit leaner than we've seen him in the past, and I think a strong showing, an athletic showing, getting him in the ring and kind of reestablishing himself as top tier against all this mid-card talent, I think was smart from WWE's perspective to begin to build him back to what he was. It's a longer process. He's got a way to go, but if he would have lost, and I think the Andrade part was a botch when he took himself out. It doesn't make much. I think he was supposed to sit on the ramp or on the apron and roll back in, and he missed it, and he fell out because he looked surprised. But either the case, the fact that he was kind of repackaged a little bit, just by taking his shirt off, just by looking a little leaner, I think is going to go big things for him SummerSlam down the line. So
yeah, it could be the rebook of Braun Strowman here, because he's come down a long way. But anyway, let's move on to the main show, and the first thing I want to bring up is how dang good that opening video package was, because me and Kev have talked many times about how much a video package and a hype video is so important to wrestling, to big matches and big events, and the first opening package of that intro to WrestleMania was pretty dang cool. I know that I mean, I could be just in the minority here, but I was absolutely shocked to see Seth and Brock start this show, and the way it kind of went. Kevin, take us through this match. There's not a lot to it, but take us through this opening match for the Universal title. Well,
before the match even got started, you had that huge-ass beatdown that Brock Lesnar laid on Seth Rollins outside the ring, tossed him around, nailed him with an F5 outside the ring, brought him in the ring, finally got the match underway, and it was looking like Brock was taking it to him, beating him up, and then all of a sudden, the ref gets bumped, he's outside the ring, Rollins nails that low blow, sticks him with a kick, hits not one, not two, but 3 curb stomps, and boom, ladies and gentlemen, we have a new Universal Champion. Now, I dig it.
Oh, mate.
I mean, there's not much to say because it was very short, but that's not a surprise. Personally, I think Brock Lesnar just wanted to get the hell out of there. That's why get him out first. He could catch his flight back to Minnesota. But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was fine. I thought that, we get the belt back on Raw, which is the most important thing.
Hey, yeah, I'm fine with Seth winning. I didn't pick Seth Rollins to win. Neither did you, Kev.
My prediction sucked.
I mean, we're going to, at the end of this, Kev, me and you are going to stay on, and we're going to go through our predictions and figure out who won. But
That sucks.
I was unsurprised, but I was surprised that Seth won. When it went on first, and then I'm like, hey, are we getting this feel-good WrestleMania moment to kind of kick off Mania? Mags. The match itself was relatively quick. There was just a little bit of a thing before, and like Kev kind of ran down. What did you think about the match, and what did you think about the result?
Well, just before I get onto the match, I just wanted to go back to the point you made about the video package and the Beast Slayer video. I thought that was a really classic set design by WWE this year for WrestleMania. The huge screen. It wasn't over elaborate, but it just screamed WrestleMania for me. So I really dug that set design. But going into the match, obviously we had the Brock beat down, but the way he telegraphed that low blow really took a bit out of the match for me, because he jumped before the low blow even landed, so it made it look clear that Seth didn't catch it. But we still got a Seth win, which I predicted. I'm glad about. I think Brock was definitely on his way back to UFC this time. So, yeah, I'm not disappointed in that match. Brock made Seth look as good as he was ever going to in such a short match. So he's done the job on his way out, and we've got a fighting champion now back on Raw.
Yeah, I'm happy about that the title's going to be back on Raw. It's on someone like Seth. JPQ, what do you think about this one? Because Seth's been on this build since pretty much before the Rumble, but you happy to see this happen?
Yeah, I was. The thing about Seth Rollins is that whether it's the Intercontinental Champion or it's the Universal title, I mean, he can just get the crowd going early. And to get energy in 70,000, 80,000 people right out of the gates just sets up for just a good show, kind of set the tone for the rest of the card. From a storyline perspective, I loved it. It was a short match. The low blow era is still in effect in WWE. But at the end of the day, it was a story in wrestling hubris, right? Brock was able to come in and throw his weight around pre-match and, really bust up Rollins' back and getting bleeding and getting bruised and all that. And then the bell rings and just one little slip out, just that David versus Goliath, just overconfidence gets to Brock, knocks out the ref, boom, low blow. And then it's Rollins' turn to shine, and 3 curb stomps later, and we got a new champion.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool way to start Mania. A really fun, again, feel-good way to kick off the show, kind of get the pace rolling for, what is a fairly long show. But nonetheless, I think the pacing of this show in general is actually quite decent. I actually really enjoyed how this played out. But I knew that this match wasn't going to be necessarily long going into it. I knew it was going to be fairly straightforward Brock Lesnar stuff. I enjoyed it for what it was. Glad we have a new Universal Champion, and I guess we can move on to a match that I thought was going to steal the show, but I don't think it necessarily did. Kevin, what was up second for WrestleMania?
Well, up next on this colossal card, we've got AJ Styles taking on Randy Orton. I honestly forgot that this match was placed where it was. This match, it was fine.
Yeah.
It didn't steal the show, but it was fine. Josh, I think you were more invested in this one than I was, so you can take it from here.
I mean, yeah, I did hype this up a lot going into this. I really thought... Now, again, I don't think this match was bad because it wasn't bad at all. It just... Maybe in my mind, I just kind of maybe hyped it up a little bit too much, but I really thought that this one was going to steal WrestleMania. I thought they had it in them, and again, not a bad match, but a lot of cool little spots with the faking out of the RKOs and all of that kind of stuff. Now, going into this, I wasn't really too sure on who was going to win. I honestly wasn't. I'm not necessarily surprised that Styles won, but Mags, what do you think about this one? Did you really go into the mentality of this one like I did, that it was maybe going to steal the show, and were you maybe a little bit disappointed in the fact that it didn't?
Yeah, I think you've absolutely nailed it there. For me, the result in this one was always a pick-em kind of result. It was a very good SmackDown match. There's not really a lot more that can be said. There were no outstanding high spots. It were just two very good wrestlers going through the motions, basically. So, yeah, I was happy with AJ Styles winning. I don't see where he goes from here next. Especially with the results that come later on in the show. But yeah, it's a decent but forgettable match.
Yeah. And we don't mean that in a disrespectful way at all. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't bad. It just was, it was just a standard wrestling match. JPQ, do you echo that? Do you think it was incredible? What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, incredible's probably a little too strong. I don't think... I think recency bias is getting to Mags a little bit here, which is fine. He'll block me. But it's one of those things where, even on the playback right now, and it's on, just from a timing perspective, it's just a good story. And you have two top-tier talents in Orton and AJ Styles. You've seen them on SmackDown. You've seen them go before. And they just told a good story in the ring of, Randy trying to catch him in that WrestleMania RKO spot, and AJ just doing whatever he can to just not put himself in a position that happens. So, longer story booking here, we see one guy just being a crafty veteran and learning from his mistakes in the past to not get trapped in an RKO. And I think when you look at it from a storyline perspective, I think it makes sense. Are we going to remember it 6 months from now? No, we're not. So it's down the road for me.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums this match up pretty well. Cool to see AJ win. It was a cool singles match to have on earlier in the show, and I guess it did its purpose. Moving on, what was up next, Kevin? Was the 4-way for the SmackDown tag titles?
Yeah, fatal 4-way tag team match for the WWE SmackDown tag team titles. You got the Usos, you got Aleister Black and Ricochet, Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura, and The Bar. Again, this is another one that, it was good. It was fine. Nothing about it stood out for me. To echo something that Mag said about the last match, I felt like this was a really good SmackDown match, but I don't know if it was pay-per-view caliber necessarily. There were some good spots, and Aleister Black and Ricochet are going to deliver good spots every time they're in the ring, and so are the Usos for that matter. But I wasn't overall psyched about it.
JPQ, what do you think about this? Because fatal 4-way tag matches are hard from a tag team standpoint, but we happy to see the Usos retain?
Yeah, I think I was. These 8 together do really good work. We've seen the Bar and Usos how many times now? said add Ricochet and Alistair in there, and the other two. It was as good as it could be. You know, it was executed very well, but of the card, this is probably my least memorable.
Yeah, honestly, fair. Mags, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think both Kevin and JPQ have made really, really good points. One thing I was actually surprised at was how Blackshare have lost 3 title matches in the space of a week. I think that makes the new hot toy look quite weak, really. But the Usos just signed a new long-term deal. They obviously are in WWE for the long haul. They're probably the best tag team in the WWE right now. It makes sense to keep the titles on, and my concern would be what happens going forward. Are we getting the New Day versus the Usos again? Are we getting the New Day, the Usos versus the Bar again? Are we going to be seeing Blackshare as SmackDown regulars and getting them against the Usos? So they're going to have to come up with something interesting to make this relevant for me.
Yeah, well, the Superstar Shake-Up's coming up in next week, so, I mean, there is the opportunity for tag teams to shift around. But, yeah, the Usos retaining, it really, at the end of the day, doesn't make it I'm fine with it. And the Usos are great. The Usos, like Mag said, are probably the best tag team in WWE, one of the better tag teams in wrestling. I thought it was, an okay match. Nothing too crazy, but that's kind of the consistent thing over this Mania, is that there's nothing that's really necessarily bad on this Mania. But everything just kind of did what it needed to do. Up next, Kev, what do we have on the card?
Up next, we hit a match that I know I've been hyped about. I know you've been hyped about. I've written about this match. Shane McMahon and The Miz, Falls Count Anywhere. This one, it definitely picked up after they got through the whole thing with Miz's dad. I thought that was a little slow and kind of awkward, the whole thing where Shane was like going to fight Miz's dad, and then he did, I guess. He beat him up a little bit. But once they took it into the crowd, I thought it really picked up in that final spot, that suplex off the lighting stage or whatever the hell it was, down to the floor. That was really good. I thought it was a really cool looking spot. It wasn't that it seemed like one of the safer ones that Shane has done, which I'm kind of grateful for, because I don't think anyone wants to see Shane McMahon killing himself at Mania anymore. If you do, you're kind of a sadist. I like this one. I knew this was going to be one of my favorites coming in, because I love the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation, and it didn't disappoint. And I'm always and even though I didn't necessarily like the George Mizanin stuff, I will always laugh seeing George Mizanin, because Shane nailed it on the head a couple of weeks ago. He looks like a baked potato.
He does. He does. And I thought this, it was all fun at the start, and it did what it needed to do to get to the next bit, which got to the next bit, and the ending was great. Spots like that, I'm a sucker for spots like that, so it always makes the whole match for me seem better. But hey, if it's making the match seem better, it's making the match seem better. I thought they used the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation to their advantage. There was a lot of cool stuff. When Shane hit that golf cart, that was nasty. Mag, start with you. Did you enjoy this Falls Count Anywhere match, at least for what it was?
Yeah, you all know full well that I am not a Shane McMahon wrestling fan. I'm not the besties in the world storyline fan. Saying that, I think that this has been Shane's best match since he made his last comeback. I was actually surprised he didn't sweat on the way down to the ring, which was quite shocking. But yeah, I think they used the Falls Count Anywhere stipulation to great effect. To go along with Shane's dad, I don't think he looks so much like a potato, but more like a porn star version of Bruce Pritchard. But yeah, this was a match I thought that the Miz should have won, really, to build on afterwards. But I'm not disappointed with Shane winning. It was a decent enough match. I just hope that Shane kind of goes away a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fussed. The way that it ended, it's not like he got a decisive victory over The Miz. It was more just right place, right time for Shane. JPQ, did you enjoy this match? Because actually, genuinely, like I said, I actually thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought from a pacing perspective, it made a lot of sense. You know, they didn't harbor too much on any one thing. They moved it around. It's tough in a baseball stadium to work as much as they did over such a big territory. So I was rather impressed with that. I think my takeaway from this match is how good of a heel Shane McMahon is. And you tend to forget that. But it's just good. It was just so that'll always be my takeaway. But glad he got the pin at the end. Saw the fire from Miz. Finally started to believe in face Miz a little bit. Overall, they succeeded in what they were doing, and I thought for a Falls Count Anywhere, that was as good as you could do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that completely. Not really too much more to say on that other than good job, boys. Really, I was looking forward to it. There was a lot of build to this. It's been building essentially since November, so there was a little bit of mustard behind it, so I enjoyed it. Moving on. Kevin, what was up next?
No. Josh, this is your moment. This is for you.
This is where the podcast goes 2 hours.
Oh man, don't tempt me, Mags, because we had another fatal 4-way tag team match. We had the Boston Hug Connection, Sasha Banks, and Bayley defending their championships against Nia and Tamina, Beth Phoenix and Natalya, and the IIconics. Now, everyone that knows me, everyone that listens to this podcast, follows me on Twitter, knows I've been looking forward to this. This was my Mania moment. It was bigger than anything for me. If somehow the IIconics could manage to pull out a victory, I even tweeted it yesterday, I was going to lose my whole ass. I was going to shit my pants. And going through this match, before we get to the finish, I thought that this Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, I may just be biased, but I actually thought it was better than the SmackDown Live Tag Team title match. I thought it was built a little bit better. It wasn't overly long. It had its spots. I liked seeing Bret Hart come out as kind of an homage to Anvil and stuff like that with Beth and Natty. Beth looked great in the ring. Nia and Tamina did what they needed to do, and I mean, the finish, I was seeing where it was going, and I'm in my living room. I'll kind of take you through here. I was in my living room. I seen Bayley get put up in the super glam slam off the top rope, and as soon as Billy tagged in, we all knew. We knew what was coming, and when that 3 count hit, we all embraced in one giant hug. There was 5 of us here, and we all hugged each other. It was like the Australians just won the Olympics. It was just like
That's you.
I never will experience that ever again. It was pure emotion. I used, if anyone's seen me go live or just tweet or just in the group chat, you could probably imagine me. I was crying. I was emotional. I was so dang happy. I'm wearing an IIconics t-shirt right now. I don't think I'm ever going to take it off ever again. That to me was the best WrestleMania feel-good moment that you could have. I know all of you probably won't share that sentiment for that, but goddamn, I am so damn happy that these girls won. They actually did it, because even I didn't 100% believe that these girls would actually do it, but they did it. It was a very nice moment, and I actually think that these girls, out of all of these ladies, were probably nearly the most over out of all of the teams. Alright, we'll run down the line. Give it to me. Mags, what did you think about this and the IIconics winning?
First of all, I think you may need to take a moment to gather your emotions. You sound like you're almost in tears.
I nearly am again, because holy shit. I could not breathe. I was hyperventilating almost when that happened.
No, I know in the group chat I give you a little bit of grief saying that Australia were going 0-2, but I am willing to eat that crow, definitely. The girls really pulled it out of the bag for you. But the best thing for me was how each team played their part to perfection. You obviously had the Boss and Hug connection, who were coming in as the champions, but then you had the older school fighters in the Divas of Doom, and then you also had the monster heels. But the way the IIconics played their part of the ultimate opportunities were just absolutely on point. Fair play to the girls. And the good thing is that they were the only actual proper tag team in there. So it's good that the tag titles are actually on a real tag team.
I agree with you. I'm not going to argue that point at all. JPQ, what do you think about the match and the IIconics winning? Because I got a lovely tweet from you when they won.
Yeah, well, I mean, I true now as it was 13 hours ago. I'm happy for you, man. That's a big moment for you.
I'm very genuinely happy. How did you think about the match? Mags kind of summed it up perfectly.
Yeah, I thought it was smart. I like, you have your workers and Bailey and Sasha. You have the nostalgia with Natalya and Beth Phoenix. You have the power with Nia and Tamina, and then you just have your annoying heels in the IIconics. By the way, IIconics come out, the Australian Black Devils with the little wings on the back and a little bit of flair for once. Peyton looking amazing. And then the ultimate opportunist and just find the only real heel way of winning, or the only heel team that actually won this WrestleMania. And I got to be honest with you, are any of us really disappointed that they won? No. And why? Not just because they're from Australia and we're friends with Josh. But on top of that, they're just a fun tag team that are going to bring a lot of new wrinkles to the tag team division, and I think it's going to be welcomed.
Yeah, I mean, yes, all of the way. Kevin, hey, you've been on this journey with me for them the whole entire time. You've been my partner in crime on this. You knew how much I wanted this moment, and I got it. How do you think the match kind of went? And I am not trying to be big-headed. I hope, Kevin, that I was the first person you thought about.
You were the first person I thought about. I DM'd you almost immediately after the match. All I could think about was like, oh my god, Josh is probably going crazy in his living room right now. I was. But I like the match. I think both JPQ and Mags made great points. The finish was super smart. Really heelish way to win. Championships are better on heels, so I'm definitely not mad. I like the IIconics. I do like the IIconics a lot. And just they pinned the champions, which I think is a cool little note. You know, the WWE could have taken the easy way out and just had them pin, Beth Phoenix or Natalya or Tamina, but they pinned the champions. They deserve to be champion.
Hey, they did. They've got no excuse, the Boss and Hug. They lost that match. And right place, right time for the IIconics, but it is a very, just 100% the most pure, just emotional moment of the whole night for me, personally, and for everyone in my house. We were generally shocked and very happy. Australians in the WWE are few and far between, and to see them get big moments like this at WrestleMania is not something that I'm used of. I'm not used to that kind of just raw emotion, I guess. But I am very, 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 very happy that this happened. And man, I'm not gonna ever experience something like that ever again, I don't think. But fun match, fun result. I could talk about this for hours, but moving on to another very important match, another very organic, emotional match for everybody. And that was one Kofi Kingston looking to finally capture the WWE Championship. 11 years. This was his first singles opportunity at this title against one Daniel Bryan. This one was an absolute roller coaster of a match. And JPQ, start with you. Kofi did it, dude. He did it. We finally got that moment, the moment that we were so unsure if we were going to get or not. What did you think about the match, and what did you think about Kofi coming out on top?
I think this is why we wanted Daniel Bryan back. And we wanted Daniel Bryan back because Daniel Bryan knows how to get the best out of everybody. And that's not a knock on Kofi. Kofi can obviously go out there and deliver. We've been waiting for this moment for 11 years. But you put him in there with somebody like Daniel Bryan to elevate him to the point that he did, it just makes that moment all that much more surreal. And that's really the best word for it. For Kofi to kind of go through the last 3 months of the Daniel Bryan story from 2014 of just all bets against him, all odds against him, and to earn his position over and over and over, and then to have the New Day come in and earn the position for him at the end with the gauntlet match 2 weeks ago. Again, I just think that WWE got it right. And where you can criticize a lot of the things they do a lot of the time, in this instance, they had a story to tell. They didn't go crazy with it. They built the right arc, and then the payoff was there for the fans. And at the end of the day, the man probably most deserving on the roster to be champion is champion. And it's just one of those moments that you'll just never forget.
Never, ever, ever. Mags, did you feel like a kid watching wrestling when you kind of experienced this? Because, like I said, there's not really times when you can't manufacture how organic that was.
No, I totally agree. I think it quickly became the most interesting story building into this Mania. For me, I felt that Kofi may not break through that glass ceiling. Am I glad that he did? Oh, definitely. But I just couldn't see it, especially with WWE not really historically coming out of WrestleMania with all face champions. I felt Kofi might have ended up being the fall guy, the one that didn't pull off the victory. But the guy has put in the tenure. He is now officially the first ever fully black WWE champion. Absolutely deserves it. Good on the lad. Good on the New Day. What more can you say? The guy absolutely deserved it. Well played on Daniel Bryan for making that match as amazing as it were. Brilliant result. Not the one I picked, but I'm absolutely happy with it.
I mean, yeah, it was. I can't really add anything to what that was, Kevin. I mean, we've talked about it countless times. If we weren't sure if Kofi was going to be able to do this or not, or if it was going to happen. What do you think about the match? And, I mean, you've got to have that same estimate of just, damn, you feel like 10 years old watching wrestling.
Kofi did it. They did it. We did it. Everyone did it. This feels like a moment for everybody. We are all behind Kofi. We've been behind Kofi. We got, we cheer for him, we pop him, and he in return delivers and delivers and delivers, and he really earned this spot, and he earned this win. And the match was fantastic. The match was probably the best match of the night. I was a little emotional. I'll be honest. I've liked Kofi for a while, but it's just the story was so good. At every turn, they nailed it. They nailed it again and again, and that's something that you don't often see with the WWE. Is they don't always get a story 100% right. They might get to the right spot, but the road might be a little twisty and turny. This one was told to absolute perfection. And like these guys are saying, the right man is champion.
Yep. I got emotional as well. Once I kind of calmed down from the IIconics win, I was actually able to watch this match. But I jumped in at the right time, and man, just those last few little ending spots and, him actually getting the win, it does make you feel like a kid. It makes you feel it doesn't matter about anything else that's going on in wrestling. You're just involved in whatever's on your screen. And those moments are a little rare, but when they do happen, they're special. And that's going to go down in years to come as, a moment at WrestleMania that I don't think any of us will ever really forget. And again, another really feel-good moment for WrestleMania this year. Not really too much more else to say than I'm so happy that Kofi Kingston won. I'm just generally so happy. What was up next, Kevin? Because a match for the United States Championship was next, but it wasn't really one that we're really certain on whether we were getting or not.
No, the story heading into this one, Samoa Joe, United States champion, taking on Rey Mysterio. But the story was Rey healthy? Was Rey able to compete? With the match we got, I don't know if that question was really answered because Samoa Joe squashed the living shit out of him.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Rey Mysterio. I was a little butthurt about this, but I get it. Samoa Joe looked really good. And that's the point. You know, Ray's not in there to be winning championships. He's in there. He's here as a vet. He's here to put people over, and he did a big favor for Samoa Joe tonight. We'll never. I would assume that he probably wasn't able to go too much on the ankle. So this was like the ultimate cool down too. After that Kofi match, this is like the right thing to do to sort of cool down the crowd.
Yep, it moved the show along. JPQ, Mags. There's not really too much to say other than, are you both happy that, hey, yeah, okay, Ray may have not been completely cleared or whatever it was, or maybe it was just this was the plan, but I'm at least happy that Joe finally looks like a killer that he should be. Mags, start with you.
Yeah, I think this match was a victim of circumstance, and WWE did the best that they could out of with the positioning, with the match length, and with the finish. Ray, obviously, it seems like he wasn't fit enough to do the full Rey Mysterio kind of match. So, what better way to put Joe over than Joe absolutely decimated him? Makes Joe look like a monster. Like Kevin said, it's a cool down from the excitement and the buzz from the match before. So yeah, WWE did the best that they could with the cards that they were dealt with this one.
Yeah. JPQ, anything you want to add to that one?
Every main card needs a squash match. And I thought this was, given the circumstances, they made lemonades out of lemons here. And it was a quick match, made Joe look powerful, which we've been waiting for over a year now. And, you know, a minute and a half is all we needed to tell that story. I think they did a good job with it.
Yeah. Not really too much more to say on that. Happy for Joe that he's continuing the dominance. Up next, it was Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre. First thing I want to note, the crowd. Now, we've all been wondering how long it would take before not the crowd turned on Roman Reigns, they didn't turn on him, but there was certainly some boos in there, and they hadn't been in there since he had really come back last month. Kevin, were you a little bit surprised that was a little bit of a mixed reaction, or was that just the nature of the game with Roman Reigns?
Yeah, that's how it's gonna go with Roman. I don't think he would have it any other way either. I think he enjoys embracing that portion of the audience that really just doesn't like him. He was bound to get booed at some point. They were bound to happen back. The match itself was okay, a little slow, but that's what you expect. Just a lot of powerhouse stuff, a lot of brawling. McIntyre hits his spots really well. That reverse Alabama slam is beautiful. Good match. The right guy won. Obviously, Roman Reigns in his first match back since returning to the WWE. His first singles match back, I should say. Nothing too crazy, but you couldn't really ask for much more.
Yeah. JPQ, right guy probably won him in his comeback, as Kevin said. What do you think about the match? I honestly thought it was what it was. It wasn't amazing, but it was okay. But what do you think about the match?
It was a welcome back for Roman Reigns. Yeah, nobody beats Roman Reigns. Nobody's going to beat Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for a while. Drew can afford the loss for sure. It was a good, hard-hitting. It let everybody know that Roman's back and he's back at 100%. And that's all I needed to see. You know, where they go from here, where the crowd goes from here, you know, you're a fan, you pay your ticket, you can do whatever you want to do. But for him to come out at WrestleMania after everything he's dealt with for the last 7 months, 8 months, and be able to put on that type of match, I think puts a lot of confidence into him moving forward as a performer. It was another one of those feel goods.
Yeah. Mags, what do you think about this one? Are you a Drew McIntyre fan? But did you probably know that Roman was going to probably win this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo pretty much all of your thoughts. The right man definitely did win. I think there was an opportunity here for Drew to win, to become that big monster heel. He's beat the person who's just come back from leukemia, makes him the absolute worst person on the roster, and it could have also led him towards a match with the new face champion in Seth Rollins. But like you've all said, Roman had to win at this Mania. It was the comeback from his illness. Nobody beats Roman at Mania, like JPQ said. So yeah, the right man won. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here, because unless they're going to do a Seth versus Roman match, there's no clear path for him to be back being the big dog for me.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm fine with it. Nothing really too noteworthy in the match. Like as everyone kind of said, it was Roman's match back. It was for Roman, and hey, Drew got to be in a singles match at Mania, and with Roman Reigns, so definitely not a knock on him.
And he got one of the best entrances as well. That entrance with the drummers was quality.
Yeah, I like really that cool too. Entrances are great at Mania. We'll talk about that more as we get to some other stuff. But what was next, Kevin? Was a match next, or was it Elias yet? I can't remember.
Dude, I don't even know. I
think
can barely see straight right now.
I think Triple H and Batista was next.
I'm pretty sure it was. I'm pretty sure the Elias stuff happened afterwards.
Yeah, we'll just go with that. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Who gives a shit? Triple H and Batista. If Triple H lost this match, he was gone. And before we even talk about the match, everyone noticed it. Batista fell. He fell in the ring. It was funny.
It was tough to see.
He genuinely looked drunk.
That was the buzz at with me and my friends watching it. We were all kind of wondering, like, is he drunk? Because yeah, he stumbled. He just didn't look good.
He did look a little something was off. Something was definitely off. Nonetheless, the match itself, not something I expected in the match, was the stuff with the nose ring and the fingers, and I didn't expect to see that type of stuff in this match. It's a cool little spots. I thought the match itself was maybe a little bit too long, but for the most part, I thought it was what we're going to get out of them, minus the stuff with the fingers and the nose ring. That's how I pretty much see this playing out. Kevin, start with you. You're a Batista guy, so you probably weren't too happy with the result, but cool to see Flair. What did you think about the match itself?
I was disappointed by it. I don't know. I don't know why, because you're right. We weren't gonna get like a classic match out of Triple H and Batista, two 50-year-old guys. But I don't know. I felt like some of the beginning spots were pretty cool, and I thought the end was okay. But there was just such a lull in the middle. It was too long, too long.
Yeah, I can kind of concur with that a lot. It was long, maybe 5 minutes too long. Mags, were you happy with this match? Did the right person win?
Yeah, I think Triple H needed to win, especially with the upcoming Saudi 10-year contract they've got. If he would have been unable to wrestle again, he's missing out on some big paydays. And Batista winning would have done nothing for Batista, because he's obviously going to go back to filming Guardians of the Galaxy, so he's not going to be a long-term prospect for the WWE. Yeah, it was a decent match. Like you both said, it was a bit too long. I think they attempted too many table spots for my liking. I did like the spot with the pliers where Triple H almost paid kind of a homage to Pete Dunne, where we're trapping his things and then doing a stomp. Yeah, I think that Ric Flair being involved was a nice little touch, linking back to what happened on Ric Flair's birthday celebration. Yeah, it was a decent enough match. Batista looked very much more tattooed up than he's ever done before.
Yeah, again, long match. Did what it needed to do. I think I've said that a lot, but it did. JPQ, what do you think about this match? Because I did see a few people on the internet that weren't too thrilled with this match.
Yeah, it was the longer of the matches. Didn't need to be this long. Although, I think I would have a couple drinks too if I knew I was going in to take that many bumps with no real experience in the ring, shaking off all that ring rust after all this time. Batista came to play. And I mean, whether it was the steps or the tables or the ring and the nose and the plier spot, he took a beating. So good on him for committing to it for one night. But it was probably about 5 minutes too long. That's probably a fair assessment.
Yeah. Hey, was what it was. I enjoyed it. I was definitely in a weird spot at this show where I was trying to adjust for other things. I was calming down from some other things. So it was honestly placed at a point where it probably needed to be here. It didn't need to be earlier. It didn't need to be later in the show. It was at a nice spot. Next, I believe it was the Elias segment. Cool little segment that I really, really enjoyed, with Elias playing the drums and Elias playing the piano and then playing the guitar all together, and then took it over, and then a video package came on. It was Babe Ruth and all of this stuff, and I was like, maybe it's Cena. Now, was I wrong? No, I wasn't. It was John Cena, but my childhood exploded out of me because holy crap, I heard that, so you think you're untouchable, and I lost my goddamn mind. Thugonomics, word life. It's happening. John Cena in that form, and just owning it. Kevin, listen, we're both fans of this when we were younger, but we're roughly the same age. 8-year-old Josh came out of me. I was like, had the chains, I had the word life things on my hands. It was just, wow. Flashback. How did you like this?
Oh, it was awesome. Everything was perfect, from the word life on the knuckles, the Babe Ruth jersey. Cena's raps are always amazing. Like he gets some really good digs in there.
Yeah.
And just emasculated Elias. Tough break for Elias, I guess, but he did get his WrestleMania moment. Got to play in front of 80,000 people, so can't really begrudge him too much.
Oh, no.
Loved it. Yeah, I love that. I love this segment.
Me too. It was so fun. It was placed in a spot where it needed to be placed because WrestleMania is long. WrestleMania has a lot of matches. It was just kind of nice to just chill out for a minute and just have a bit of a laugh. And like you said, Cena got some cool one-liners in there. JPQ, did you enjoy this as well?
Yeah, I mean, this was ridiculous. I mean, just everything about this just read to me as just, it was nostalgic. It was a good spot for Cena. Who doesn't like to see a heel get their comeuppance verbally? So anytime you have a promo war in the middle of WrestleMania and it makes sense and it's funny and there's good jabs back, everything about that just worked. So I'm happy they did it. Happy Cena was on the show, which I don't always say every WrestleMania. And I think it was a nice profile. It was a nice way of resetting the audience going into the back third of this marathon of a show.
Yeah, really good placement. Mags, did you enjoy this segment as well? We're going back and forth in the group chat a little bit, but did you enjoy this?
for me, WrestleMania is always about the moment. It's not about the snazzy wrestling. WWE is not really the place you want if you want the best wrestling in the world. But this segment is why I watch WrestleMania every year, for things like this. This was worth every penny of what I pay for the WWE Network. It was the best segment in the show, hands down. Yeah. I absolutely ate this up. This could have gone 30 minutes like the Triple H match for me. I loved it, absolutely loved it. Perfect placing for John Cena. Really got Elias a really good spot. The 3-man Elias concert was inspired. I really thought that was a brilliant segment. The Babe Ruth video, I personally didn't think it was going to be John Cena. It kind of reminded me of the Sabres Y2J segment, or the old what was going to be Sting but ended up being Undertaker's segment. So I thought it could have been something like that. But when, like I said, So You Think You're Untouchable hit, I marked like a little fangirl. Absolutely loved it. Loved the rap. Loved the back and forth we was having in the chat. It was brilliant. This is WrestleMania for me. This will be the takeaway moment from WrestleMania 35 for me for a long, long time.
You're taking the words right out of my mouth, because WrestleMania is about those moments that they can put in those video packages and those moments that they create, and that is a perfect example of that. Fun segment. Like I said, it kind of took us out of the wrestling for a minute and just kind of let us chill, let us have a laugh. Cena got some brilliant lines in on Elias. Cena can say kind of whatever he wants, and he's John Cena. So it was really, really, really fun. Now, going from something extremely fun to something people weren't too thrilled that we were getting, and I honestly didn't think we were going to get it, but we did. Baron Corbin, Kurt Angle's retirement match, his farewell match, whatever you want to call it. I ain't even going to waste any time talking about this match. There's not a lot to it. Corbin won, and people were pretty shocked. Now, it is wrestling kind of tradition. You lose on your way out. But in this case, I really didn't think Kurt was going to lose. JPQ, start with you. That rhymed. What did you think? I know, I'm in that John Cena thugonomic stuff. I'm wearing my chain right now. JPQ, what did you think about this? Were you shocked to see Corbin get the victory?
No, I've been calling this for a month now. I love this. I was a big supporter of this. To your point, yes. When you retire, you go out on your back. You put somebody over. People hate Baron Corbin. Good. It's your job to hate Baron Corbin. Nobody is... In baseball, we talk about hate the face players. Good ball players, but we just hate their face. Baron Corbin is a hate the face guy. And he plays that role better than most in WWE in a very long time. And so for him to put out Kurt Angle on the grandest stage of them all at a very memorable WrestleMania, does it just sit so well with me on so many different levels. I love the fact that they did it. I love the fact that they're still protecting the end of days. It's the most protected finisher in all of WWE. And people who were upset about it, good. That's the right reaction. That's what WWE wants. That's what Baron Corbin wants, and that's what's best for business.
Man, Mags, did the right person win this one?
I agree with Jonathan. Yeah, I think the right person won. I think Baron Corbin's character work over the last year or so has been absolutely brilliant. He has made people detest him, which, like JPQ said, that's his job, and he's doing it perfectly. Kurt was retiring. If he weren't going to get the John Cena match, which everyone was kind of pinning their hopes on, this was a very serviceable way for him to go out. He looked a shadow of the Kurt we know from the Attitude Era kind of Kurt. So, yeah, he's put over Corbin. Corbin can use this rub now to go on to bigger and better things. So yeah, I weren't disappointed in it, and thanks, Kurt, for everything you've done. Really.
Yes, thank you, Kurt. Kevin, you have your opinions on Kurt Angle wrestling, but we're expecting a Baron Corbin victory.
I actually wasn't expecting it, but not because it was the wrong result. It was probably the right result because, like we've talked about here, you go out on your back. But I didn't have faith in WWE to actually do that. I thought Corbin would eat a loss here. I predicted it. Got it wrong. Not mad about it. The match was serviceable, like was said. It was whatever. It did its thing. Yeah, I'm not really crazy about seeing Kurt Angle wrestle anymore. It's like Mags said, he's a shadow of himself anymore. It's kind of, I just don't like watching it. But this was a good way for him to go out. He did the honors for Baron. Imagine what Baron Corbin could do with this now. If you thought people hated him before, people are going to absolutely despise him now, and that's the point. We don't talk enough about how good Baron Corbin is at his job because we're so busy hating him. And that's the idea.
Yep. Can't say anything any better myself. We're meant to hate Baron Corbin, and majority of us do. So, props to him for being a good heel. Just being that unlikable, I guess. 2 more matches to go. This is a tough spot to be in before the main event. But Finn and Bobby owned it. And that is the kind of match you need to have in that spot. At least in my opinion. The Demon was here. It was a cool entrance. I was not surprised at all that Finn Balor got the win. I can't really think of too much in the match itself other than that Finn win. It was cool to see the Demon. Mags, starting with you. Were you shocked? I don't think anyone was really shocked that the Demon got the victory.
No. It's the Demon. It's WrestleMania. There was only ever going to be one winner. I think it was been a bit of a waste of a storyline for Finn to have the belt, then to lose the belt, then to win it back. But we get the Demon at WrestleMania. It was a short match. It should have been a short match to keep the Demon character strong. Yeah, it was what it was. It was a short, interesting Demon match to get everyone ready for the match that was set to come.
Yeah, anything you want to add to that, JPQ?
I think I think Mags nailed it. The only thing I would add is smart card layout, because you could have put this anywhere, and to put it as the second to last match on the card to keep everybody invested and not make it a bathroom break match, I think was good on WWE, so that the fans were in the stands by the time the main event started. So a smart card layout by whoever's in charge of that.
Yeah, it really was smart layout of the whole card. Kevin, Finn winning, is that anything that you're really that surprised on?
No, I mean, I'm just echoing what the other guys are saying. It's the Demon. He wasn't going to come to WrestleMania to lose. This was fine for what it was. Lashley got his licks, and he didn't look like completely overmatched, which I thought was a good little touch to keep him sort of looking strong.
Yeah.
But it was only ever going to be Finn Balor winning this match. We all knew it coming in. I'm just happy to see the Demon back. I didn't really care for the storyline. I think that they pulled the trigger on him too early winning that first Intercontinental belt. I think this should have been the place for him to win his first belt. But I'm glad he's got it now, and I think he's going to do really good things with it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad he's got it. I'm glad he's the one holding the IC title. It was cool to see the Demon. I guess we better probably talk about the main event, because I'm sure you all will have some opinions on it. First things first, it was history-making. First time women have ever main evented WrestleMania. Cool entrances from Ronda, Charlotte, and Becky had a pretty normal entrance, but she had the crowd participation, so that was cool. It was definitely a lot of atmosphere, big fight feel. We knew that this was going to be special. The match itself, I thought, was pretty good, and it was starting to get really good. The finish.
Yikes.
I don't know if it was a mistake. I don't know if it was botched. But the shoulders were up at one point. I noticed that, but to me, sometimes WWE, it happens. It happens in wrestling. Sometimes the shoulders are up when they're not meant to be, or what happened here? It did, honestly. I know we got the result we wanted in Becky winning, but for everyone I was around, myself included, it kind of took away from the moment. I think anyway, it definitely took away. I wasn't really sure what was happening because I wasn't sure if Ronda had kicked out or not. Kevin, please elaborate because I'm not really sure what to say.
Dude, this left me feeling so deflated. I really expected we were going to get a strong, decisive finish here for Becky to sort of put the cap on her entire character arc going back to SummerSlam of last year. It's been such a good run of storytelling. There have been some bumps in the road, sure, but they really did a good job telling her story, and I thought she deserved better than the finish she got. Again, there are the rumors out there floating that they actually may have botched the finish. You got to take that with a tremendous grain of salt, though, because rumors get started and they get perpetuated, and then all of a sudden it's become gospel before we ever really know. So I want to say that's you can't believe everything you read.
No.
The always reliable though, Kristen Ashley on Twitter was saying that her source said that Becky was supposed to tap out Charlotte. So I mean, I trust her source. I maybe he got misinformation. I'm not sure, but it definitely left a weird taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what was kind of the deal here because as soon as that finish happened, all I heard to Ronda, to the referee, was she said, "I kicked out," and he said, "No, there was a 3 count." There was really no delay between the 2 and the 3. There was no... I don't know if it was an issue on... If it was botched, I'm not saying it was, but if it was, I don't know if it was an issue of Ronda just not kicking out, the referee not noticing, Becky not getting off in time. But it Kevin, to your point, it did take away. It felt a little bit... We got the result we wanted, and I'm happy that Becky won, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get that regardless of whether this was botched or not. Mags, what do you think about this? Do you think it was a mistake? Do you think that that ending wasn't meant to be that ending?
Yeah, I'm just going to take the ending out of the equation for a second and I want to just speak about how we all know that this was the most historic WrestleMania match in a long, long time. The first time that any females have headlined a WrestleMania, and the WWE laid it on thick with absolutely amazing entrances, and there was always the opportunity or that maybe the match wouldn't live up to the build-up. Taking the finish out, I thought that the match was a really, really good match, and I think it lived up to the hype that has been put into the match.
Yeah.
Now going on to the finish, if it was a botch, it leaves open the opportunity for a rematch maybe, or if it did go down the way it did, again leaves open. It leaves a little bit of an opportunity for this match to be run back. I think the right person won. Obviously, everybody wanted Becky to win. If Becky didn't win, I would have been convinced that there would have been some murders in New York tonight. If this match wasn't botched at the end, fair play to Ronda for taking the pin. Especially with having the third person in this match, she could have easily big balled it and said, "Nope, I'm not taking the pin. I want to be going out undefeated." So it's either or. There's the opportunity for a rematch there. So yeah, it was a good match. A bit of a question mark over the ending, but yeah, it lived up to the historic build up that it had.
Yeah. Before I say my piece on it, completely, JPQ, do you think it was a botch?
Oh, it was 100% a botch. And then I'll take it a step further, and I'll tell you, I'm glad it was. I prefer this over WrestleMania. You want a nice bow on everything. You want it to be that perfect moment, and you want Becky with both titles staring at the WrestleMania sign as everything goes off the air. And man, I get that. But you're telling me that in ring we had 3 women main event WrestleMania in which they spent the entire match working over Ronda's knees to effectively take her power away from her. That happens. She's bruised up on both sides. She then goes for her finisher against Becky. She doesn't have the power to execute 100%. She gets rolled up in some type of variation of a pinning combination and gets the quick 3. Like, you couldn't. If it's going to be a botch, it was a perfect spot for a botch because it wasn't clean. There's room for interpretation. On top of that, the right person won with Becky going over. You get rid of this clout of the streak that is Ronda Rousey. So now you're done with that crap, right? Now she looks a little more defeatable, which is always a good thing in wrestling.
Yes.
And then, and take it a step further, now because we're playing this narrative that Ronda Rousey, says that everything is a work and nothing in wrestling is real and everything is fake, for her to lose on a botch just makes me so damn excited when she comes back. So we could have had Becky versus Charlotte. We could have had a submission finish. We could have kept Ronda out of it. But I think it works better this way. If what Kristen Ashley said is true, and Kevin, to your point, I read what that is, actually retweeted it. If that's true, and I trust Kristen Ashley implicitly.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you, of those 2 finishes, I'll take the unpolished, unfinished, botch finish in this instance because I think it lends to a better story longer term. And anytime you can work with more later, it's better than the payoff in the short term. So I'm perfectly okay with this. I think the in-ring story told a great story. I think the finish was smart, considering where the botch happened. And moving forward, we're not going to remember out of this WrestleMania the fact that Becky won on a crucifix pin in a weird type of manner. No, we're going to remember a feel-good, the wrestling fans are the authority narrative because every champion that we wanted, we got, including the IIconics. And it's one of those things where the finish isn't going to matter a year from now. All that's going to matter is that Becky won the first triple threat main event women's championship match. And they have more to play off now moving forward. So win-win.
Yeah, I definitely see your point. However, this is where I'm sitting on this, is that this is the first ever time that this has happened. And for me, I honestly, listening to you say that then, I understand it, and I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but at least for me right now, I could change my opinion, but I wanted that first ever main event for the ladies, hopefully first of many. I wanted, and this story, the way it had gone for Becky at least, just looking at it from a Becky Lynch standpoint, she had been, arrested and suspended and taken out of the match and put back into the match and everything that happened. For me, I wanted that moment. I honestly wanted Becky to beat Ronda. I wanted her to tap her out or whatever it would have been. That's what I wanted. So in a sense, I kind of got a Becky over Ronda situation. To Mags's point, if Ronda was the one to be like, hey, if this wasn't a mistake, if this was generally the finish, it was just meant to look like it was a mistake, then props to Ronda and being like, hey, I'm going to take some time away and you should beat me. And just the way the story had gone. For me, I just wanted that decisive win. I didn't really want to roll up. But, like to JPQ's point, the legs were worked over and, you know, she didn't have enough strength to do this, and Becky kind of right place, right time. Nonetheless, we still do have that moment of Becky winning, and it is what we all wanted. So, but I do feel a little, I don't know why, I'm just a little bit sour on the situation, and I don't want to be, because I've waited for these ladies to get the opportunity to main event WrestleMania for a long time, and I've wanted this and stuff like that. But I guess time will tell. We have Raw tomorrow and SmackDown, and we'll see what happens from here. But I'll go down the line overall. WrestleMania, was it a success? Was it a good show? Was it not? Give me your thoughts. JPQ, start with you. Did you enjoy the whole show?
I did. I actually thought it went pretty quick. I'll give WWE this because I watch a lot of different wrestling out there. Outside Backlash and Crown Jewel, they've hit on every single pay-per-view on this cycle. Like, every single one was memorable in its own way that you can run back. Outside, there was a match or two in Backlash, but outside of Crown Jewel, outside of Backlash, you really did have like 14 pay-per-views that hit well, responded to well by the fans. So in that instance, they're doing their job. I think with this WrestleMania, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, high marks across the board. And again, I think it plays into that, you know, we are the authority, we make the decisions, and I think the payoff was tonight for the fans.
Yeah, Mags, how'd you feel about the show? Good one or a bad one?
This is... I'm almost going to contradict myself with my answer. I agree with Jonathan. I think that top to bottom, this WrestleMania worked really, really well. It was brilliantly paced. They had the high spots followed by the cool downs, followed by the high spots. They really worked the crowd really well. But I think it's going to be a forgetful WrestleMania. I think when we look back at it in a few years' time, it's not going to be a WrestleMania that stands out as one of the very best. But whilst I was watching it, I enjoyed the absolute hell out of it. So it's a little bit contradictory like that. I think the main takeaway from it for me is we got some absolutely stellar WrestleMania moments out of it. So that is what I will look at in the future when I think of WrestleMania 35. So I'm going to give it like an 8 out of 10-ish, but still contradict myself by saying it's going to be mostly forgettable.
Yeah, Kevin, what is your thoughts? Did you enjoy the whole thing? Do you lean more with Mags? What's your deal?
I kind of agree with Mags in a sense that I kind of think that this is going to be one where, you know, we remember it as good, but nothing like crazy stands out. I think for me personally, it'll be the Kofi moment for sure. It'll be the John Cena Thugonomics moment. I'm not really going to get too much from the Becky Lynch winning because I was sort of hung up on the finish. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch so I can get that celebration and get that feeling inside of me because I love Becky Lynch and I've been rooting for her forever. And I'm so happy that she won. Circumstances, you know, notwithstanding, she deserves it. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch so I can get the full gist of the celebration. But top to bottom, this was a good Mania. Like the floor of this WrestleMania was like pretty high. Like the worst couple matches were good.
Yeah. I actually, in my opinion, this was. I am going to look back on this Mania very fondly, at least. I really enjoyed this Mania. There was nothing bad. There was cool moments. It was just a fun Mania. Yes, the Mania main events. They're always controversial. They always leave some kind of some kind of opinion. It's always different with everybody. So I'm sure this one will have its opinions, and if anything, it makes us watch Raw tomorrow and be like, yo, what's the deal with this? Overall, I thought it was a pretty damn good Mania. I enjoyed it. It kind of flew by because it was just really smartly put together, and that's what you want. As we wind down, before me and Kevin just do our little outro on our own for our WrestleMania prediction result. Mags, JPQ, it's your chance to tell everyone where they can find you, what's going on with you guys. Mags, start with you. What do you got coming up? Where can everyone find where Mags is?
Well, I'm rounding this off now. I've said it so many times over this WrestleMania week with the shows that I've done for people. You can find me on Twitter at DEJKirkby. I have a podcast called While We Watch, where we speak to content creators about their wrestling fandom, where they started watching wrestling, what they like about the product, what they don't like about the product. You yourself have been a guest, and both the other two people on the show are going to be guests in the very near future. I also have a UFC podcast called 5 Rounds with the new reigning British Open Championship gold medalist and going on to the world's my son Carlos. Well done, Carlos, for his amazing victory today. So proud of him. But I also have another podcast which debuted this week on the Brainbuster Radio Network. It's called Badlands. We discuss Mount Rushmores of wrestling, not only the classic Mount Rushmore of the GOAT wrestlers, but also we take a different topic every week and we formulate a Mount Rushmore of that topic. So one week it may be title belts, another week it may be an upcoming one. We've got set designs. So yeah, that's a really interesting, fun take on the classic talking point of Mount Rushmore. So yep, that's where you can catch me, and that's exclusive on Brainbuster Radio.
Oh yes, great show. And JPQ, same question to you. What have you got coming up, and where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Big Paws on a Pup, as well as at NPA Podcast. Podcast, no particular angle, where we talk about pretty much anything and everything with regards to the wrestling industry. Coming up this week, me and the Queen of NE are going to be doing a little WrestleMania edition of our series of wrestling fashion. So stay tuned for that on Brainbuster Radio. Other than that, you can probably catch me in some bingo hall somewhere watching somebody nobody's ever heard of before, marking out like a dork. So, feel free to follow me on Twitter and catch out the new episodes every Wednesday on Brainbuster.
Yes, so please make sure you go give these guys a follow and give their shows some love. They're both great shows. So, Mags, JPQ, thank you very much for coming on. Me and Kev are going to hang back in for about 5 minutes or so and just go through our results. So, Kevin, I can speak for you as well. Thank you very much, JPQ and Mags, for taking the time, because I know it's early, late, wherever you are. I know it's
very early for me.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thank you so much.
No problem. Absolutely loved it. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No worries. You are welcome to hang in the call, or you can leave if you want to go to bed. But yeah,
I am going to bed. I've been up for 27 hours.
Yeah, Jesus,
so yeah, I am going to bed.
Please go to bed. And JPQ, you probably want to go to bed as well.
Oh yeah.
But I thank you very much for coming on. All right, Kev. So, as we're kind of winding down here for our, overall, a fantastic WrestleMania. I think it really was something we all can take something away from. I have our results of our predictions. Now,
mine suck.
So, here's your predictions. All right, Kev, we'll run through yours first. For the Women's Battle Royal, you had one Sonya Deville. You got that wrong.
Yep.
I had one Lacey Evans. I got that wrong. You had Buddy Murphy in the Cruiserweight Championship. Then I had Tony Nese. So I got it right and you got it wrong. We both had Braun, which is nice. We both got that right. We didn't predict the Raw Tag Team Championships because that wasn't made official at that time, so fuck that.
Yeah.
So for the first match, which was, of course, Seth and Brock, we both picked Brock. We're both wrong. Then for AJ and Randy, we both had AJ, so we got another point there. For the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the SmackDown Championships, you got it right. You had the Usos. I had the Stab in the Dark pick of Nakamura and Rusev, so I got that wrong. For the Shane and Miz match, we both had the Miz. We're definitely wrong. Now for the for the Women's Tag Team Championships match, you had Boss and Hug, and I had the IIconics. So I'm glad I stuck with my my homeland because they got the win. So Kofi and Brian, we both had Kofi, so we got that right. For Joe and Mysterio, you had Mysterio, I had Joe. For
that one hurts.
Roman and Drew, we both had Roman, so that's good. For what was next? We had Triple H and Batista. You had the Game, I had Batista, so you got that one right. We both had Kurt, both wrong. We both had Finn, and we both had Becky. 2 right at the end. For a grand total of me on 8 and you on 8. We fucking drew.
Oh, that sucks.
It was a fucking draw, dude. I cannot believe it. We both got 8.
That's so unfortunate.
Because to me, none of us won. We both lost.
Yeah, the tie is a loss to me. It's even worse, honest to God.
Talk about an anticlimactic main event. Well, this was pretty anticlimactic because we had a draw. Wow. That's why I was trying not to laugh that whole time. But yeah, we had a draw. So none of us won, so we can't get too cocky because we both suck, really. To get 8
Until
right.
next time.
Yeah, till next WrestleMania, I guess. Overall, Kev, I enjoyed WrestleMania. You sound like you enjoyed WrestleMania. If you could pick just one moment that you could just be like, that was a good moment. I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say, but what would you pick?
Kofi holding the WWE title with his kids in the ring. God, that moved me. That moved me something fierce.
Yeah, pretty cool moment. Obviously, you know what I'm going to pick. And that's the IIconics. Getting that 1, 2, 3.
Really good moment. Really good.
I just cannot even explain to anybody how just that just took over my body. I said I was going to lose my whole ass. I wasn't lying. I did everything.
It's gone.
It's gone. I'm just literally, it's just nothing. Cool moment. Cool WrestleMania. Again, a bit sour on the finish, but we got what we wanted. And nonetheless, the girls still did put on a great main event. It just was the finish. The finish is, you can't change it. We can't change it. Nonetheless, going into Raw and SmackDown this week, always going to be a big show. I'm looking forward to the surprises, the crowd, everything that Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania bring. I can assume that you're excited as well for that, Kevin.
Yeah, they always bring something good to the table the night after WrestleMania, the 2 nights after WrestleMania. I'm expecting a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I completely and 100% agree. I want to thank you for staying up to God knows what time it is now, probably like 2 or 3 in the morning.
2:30.
Yeah, so I appreciate you hanging about, and so we could get this out to the world and get our thoughts and feelings off as quickly as possible. So I do appreciate
and as
you.
genuinely as possible, too.
Yeah, we don't want to sit on it and have different opinions. I kind of like just going off spur of the moment. But yeah, next time you'll hear us is a brief little break. We won't be back until Brainbuster Radio on Friday. I'm sure we'll be talking all about the Raw and SmackDown after WrestleMania and stuff like that. So we look forward to you then, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone that listened to our debut episode of Wrestling Reverb on Brainbuster Radio. It is a very big deal that we got some love for that episode, and yeah, It's not over yet though, Kevin. Like I said, Raw and SmackDown tomorrow, but come SmackDown, it always is a bit like depressing, the end of a WrestleMania week, or the weekend, whatever you want to call it. Just the end of that.
It's like the day after Christmas, you know? It's a little deflating, but gotta look forward to the next one.
Hey, yep, completely agree. And I guess we'll catch you guys when you hear us next on Brainbuster. So look out for that one. And hope everyone had a wonderful WrestleMania whatever you did in WrestleMania weekend, whether it was the G1 Supercard, it was TakeOver, and Kevin, TakeOver was quite the show. Fortunately, you weren't here for it, our recap show, but damn, that was a good show. So I hope you enjoyed that. Hall of Fame, everything like that. Man, I love WrestleMania. I love wrestling. I love WWE, and pretty overall amazing WrestleMania weekend. So thank you to everyone that is still with us and still listening to us come post WrestleMania whenever I put this out. Much respect to everybody in WrestleMania weekend, because it's a lot of wrestling. But we all love it. We all love you. Me and Kev love you to the end of the time. So, I guess peace out until Friday. See you later.